Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the podcast, The Circle of Hope. My name is Valerie Hope. I am your host. I'm also a leadership coach, and I'm so committed to bringing people to this podcast so that we can explore how connections are made, how they help us learn and grow. And today's episode, we have a wonderful guest, a new friend to me, someone that I met recently in a course, and I'm going to invite her to come on this off mute there, Linda. But Linda Balola, I got to tell people, Linda, how you and I met, because I have to say it's one of the stories that I've shared the most, one of the stories that I've shared the most since I've come back from the course that we took in Nairobi, Kenya. So Linda and you and I went to a nonviolent communication intensive. I don't know, back in first week or second week of April of 2025, right? And I think maybe it was like halfway, more than halfway through the course. And you and I had not exchanged much. We hadn't had many conversations. I don't think we'd ever been in the same groups or any of the classes. And
No,
you came up to me and said that you recognized me. And I
yes,
was like, okay, I've never been to Kenya before. I've never been to any other country in Africa. You're from the DRC, correct? You're from the Democratic Republic of Congo?
yes,
Yeah. But then you said to me that you saw my TEDx talk. And I was so shocked that someone in a whole different part of the world you weren't on my mailing list. We don't follow each other on social media, at least at the time I wasn't aware that we did. But
yeah,
somehow you saw my TEDx talk and it just um it's I'm actually quite moved as I talk about it because one, that whole this the having to do the TEDx talk, there was so much around the experience of doing one that was quite challenging for me. Getting it from the videographer lost the recording at some point. Like it was just a lot of drama around getting all that stuff together. By the time it got up, it was maybe like 4 months after the event happened, which is unusual. And I was quite frustrated about a lot of other things. And I remember thinking, you know what, forget it. I just don't even put it up, don't even worry about it. It's not worth chasing this down. I'm just going to let it go and do another one in the future.
yeah,
And so what was fascinating to me is that, I was able to kind of calm down from the frustration that I was experiencing around that. Eventually the editing was done, like they found it and everything, and then it was uploaded into the TED YouTube channel and everything. But I think the part that moved me when you shared that is there was a time when I didn't care who saw it. It was more about my frustration about the process was getting in the
mm,
way. And I forgot until you mentioned it, and others have mentioned it too, that really what was most important was not whether or not I felt good or comfortable or liked the way it was being done, but
mhm.
that the impact that it would have on other people was really the purpose. So I say all of that to say thank you so much for reminding me, right? You reminded me that the power of making a contribution, a selfless contribution. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, and I'm so happy to meet you again.
Yes, I am too.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
what's your version of that experience of that first interaction we had?
Um, I was just happy. I was joyful. Um, and the way you reacted, I saw that you were shocked. Like,
Mm.
oh, how comes that? I'm from I'm from America. We just met in in Nairobi, and how this young lady knows me. Anyway, it was like for me, it was um, a great happiness, joy inside of my heart, and so many needs were met at that
Yeah.
moment. So
Yes.
many needs were met at that moment. And when because I got the invitation when we were there, I was so
Yeah.
much excited, and I was like, wow. um, I know I have so many needs, my need for learning, my need for growth, personal growth, because I know that we learn a lot from you, because
Mm,
from your videos that I've been watching, I
thank
know
you.
so many things I'll be learning.
Uh-oh, now it's my turn. Now you're here for me to learn some things from you too.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
I'm grateful and I'm really touched that was something that made an impact on you. Um, and in our conversation after that exchange, you shared with me that you were a lecturer at a university. So tell us about that. Tell us what do you talk about? What's your role there? All of those things.
Yeah, as I shared with you, I'm a lecturer at the Protestant University of Rwanda. And as you
Mm-hmm.
said, I'm from DRC, but currently I'm living in Rwanda. And I've been lecturing to that university for past 2 years now. And it's nonviolent communication course.
Mm,
And I started as a facilitator,
yeah.
because I used to train students there for 3 days,
Okay.
full 3 days of
Yeah.
workshop. And yes, is what I've been doing, and currently is that my job
That's the
up
job.
to now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for 2 years, you've been teaching this at this university. Um,
Yes.
what got you into this field and this interest in nonviolent communication or in peace building? How did that begin?
Um, I'm the former student at the same university.
Okay.
When I came from DRC, I came to do peace building and development studies for my
Mm,
bachelor degree.
mm-hmm.
And nonviolent communication was one of the course I had in class.
Oh,
And it was really, I don't know, among all the courses that really impacted my life, because so many things changed
yeah.
on how I perceive things.
What, like what? What do you mean?
Um, yeah, like nonviolent communication, like the way I was before, like I could just see something and immediately evaluation, my thought, blames, judgment is what
Yes.
will come first.
Mm-hmm.
That was how I was before I met this course. And time to time, because I remember that it was 2015,
Mm-hmm.
I was in year two, and I started joining the NVC practice group
Ah,
at
okay.
the university at that time. So I became an
Yeah.
NVC practitioner before even became a facilitator
Okay.
or a lecturer. So I
Mm,
started that practice and learning the four component observation, how we observe with our five senses, what do we see, what do we hear, what do we taste. It was hard at once, because I was like, okay, for the first time when I came across to this, it was like, this is something that I can manipulate someone with. That was my first response.
Trying to
I was
manipulate
like,
people with nonviolent.
that,
Okay.
like in this way of making record, I was not used to make a request. My requests have to be doable. My requests have to be specific.
Mm-hmm,
Have
mm-hmm.
to be a connection request, action request. So I was not aware of that.
Yeah.
But when I put myself into that and welcome it as the language of my life,
Mm-hmm.
so many things change. So
Mm,
today I can see things and immediately I connect with that.
yeah.
It's not the blames or my thought that will come first, no,
Judgment.
but it's what is alive in me, my
Mm,
feelings, my need, but also considering the need of others, not only me.
yeah.
Now I know
Yeah.
I can express myself honestly, because sometimes for me, I knew from also the culture, the background, sometimes we were not used, some of us were not used to express ourselves honestly, especially
True.
it was like a weakness when someone
Yeah.
is expressing the feelings. But
Mm-hmm.
when I came across to that, it's something that I can do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know even how I can say it. It's just something amazing. Now it's part of my life. It's a language that I learned and I
Mm.
integrate it in my life and what I'm practicing. And that is what I'm offering to others too.
Oh,
How
wonderful.
yeah, I
Oh,
just want
that's go
yeah,
ahead.
I just want their life to be how can I say it? Enrich their life
Yeah.
as also it's like a gift
It's a gift you're giving to
to my
others.
life and to others. Yes.
Mm. Oh, you know what? I am in alignment with everything that you've said. And in fact, so much so that we almost had the same start because I did a 3-day workshop in 2015.
Yes.
It was offered at my church, actually. We had some
Yeah.
local facilitators, and I did a 3-day workshop there, or maybe it was 2 days. And then they established some practice groups, and I started going to
Yes.
the practice groups. And I think, to your point, my experience is that I wasn't used to communicating my feelings and needs
Yes.
so openly, right? That, like you said, there's a level of vulnerability that comes with that, and there's got to be a high level of trust. In my world, there had to be a very high level of trust for me to express my feelings and true needs
Yeah.
to other people. But in this practice group, we had every day we walked into the practice room every day, but we met once a week. We had to choose cards. They had cards labeled with feelings and needs, and they
Oh,
encouraged us to pick a card that reflected the needs that we were experiencing in that moment, and a
yes.
card that reflected the need that we had, that would be for the needs that a need that we needed to have met in that moment.
Yes.
And then we would go around the circle and share, here's the feeling, and this is maybe why I'm feeling this way. And, for me, I was traveling a lot at the time. I was working in this
Yeah.
corporate role, and I wasn't home very often. And then when I was, luckily I was able to participate in these meetings. But I remember I would often say things like I was tired, or I was, overwhelmed, or
Yeah.
I've been, all kinds of things related to the schedule that I had, and my needs were often, for rest, or
Mm.
because I've been gone for so long, a week or two or so, I had a need for connection or things like that.
Yeah.
But the part that I loved the most about this was that there wasn't any advice giving in the group. All we
Oh,
did was share, here's our feelings, here's our need. And sometimes we would, have a little coaching from the facilitator, but it was
mm.
all so that we learned how to meet our own needs. Or, like you
Yeah.
said, to make a request or extend an offer that would support us meeting the need. There was no like, oh, you're tired? Well, guess what? I'm tired too because, right? You think you're stressed. No, I'm stressed because I
That's
did.
true.
There was none of that. And
Yes.
so I so appreciated nonviolent communication when, at the start. And I think the other piece for you is that, like you mentioned, is that this gift that you now have gained, and it's shifted so much of your life. Like for me
Yes.
too, I think the biggest change for me has been how I listen to people also, right?
Yes.
And help, and not just listen for myself to help them, but also in my role as a coach. Oftentimes people are sharing a lot of things that they haven't quite processed yet. And so I've decided to, like we say in nonviolent communication, put on my giraffe ears, right? To just catch what are the feelings and needs that are being communicated and reflect those back. And that, just doing that sometimes is so powerful for the person. They get to be seen and heard, and maybe understand more about why they're feeling or needing what they need. So
Yes.
yeah, so good. Hmm. A
Yeah.
question for you.
Yes.
So you come originally from a country that's experienced some levels of conflict that we've heard about globally for some time. And
Yes.
and you live in a country that's also been wrought with some conflict, right, historically.
Yes.
So what what do you see is happening in relation to this peace building initiatives that you participated in, the classes that you're teaching? How is that How has that been impacting the people around you, the students? What is the impact of teaching this in these in the culture where you live and work?
Yeah, thank you. This is a good question. And most of my students are from the Great Lakes region. So I have students from DRC, I have students from Rwanda, students from Burundi. Like we
Mm.
could see, like all of them are there. And most of them are very how can I say, impacted, let's say, negatively with what is going in the region. And with negative thought, stereotypes, and prejudices against like one another. And do not forget that some of them are also traumatized. I know nonviolent communication is not a therapy, but it can heal. That is what I always tell them when I start a class. It's not a therapy session, but it can heal. And what is helping them, or how I help them the most, sometimes I forget that I'm a lecturer and I became an empathic ambassador. When you say the giraffe ear.
Yeah.
And I just welcome what is alive in them, connecting with their needs and feelings. And most of them, when they're asking me the request, like it's when their device came. Sometimes they can ask me for devices. And
For advice?
Yeah. Some of them can ask me for devices. Anyway, in their request, asking for their device, what they can do. Because what I saw, most of them is like, from what they're hearing, sometimes the media play a major role in this kind of conflict, where sometimes people, they don't know really what is happening. And today we hear this, tomorrow we'll hear that, and I'm in dilemma. I don't know what is going on. My family maybe is back to DRC, they're suffering. That is one trauma. I'm not stable mentally. And what can I do? Some of them, they want to join the army. You see, even they could have those kind of ideas. And some of them even treat others as they're not human beings. So the spirit of Ubuntu was not even there. I am because you are. That was not there even. So I tried to even integrate the spirit of Ubuntu in nonviolent communication. That's also something that I brought to them.
Wow.
And telling them that, yeah, sometimes we are jackals, consciously or unconsciously. But even though we are jackals, remember that we are human beings.
Yeah.
And what we can do, it's just connect with these people. No matter what someone is doing, there is something good in that person. And that is what makes us to be human. Listen to their feelings listening to their feelings and needs.
Yeah.
Because you can't only care about your feelings and need without caring with what is alive in the other person. And that used to change their perception. Okay, so even though someone who kills my father can still have something good, I say yes. He's a parent. He also has kids. So do you think he's also like rude with their kids? No, they are parent also. They are provide for their kids. So, and you can see their kids, they know that my dad is the best dad all over the world. While even though he commit that crime, know that he still has something good. But he just choose maybe a strategy that was not really resonate with the need that was alive at the moment. And that is when we also have much discussion about the needs and strategies, how you can have one need with millions of strategies. And sometimes we end up deciding or choose a bad strategy, if I can call it that, a bad strategy. And that is make us commit some crime or do something to the community. And that is not good. So I really try to stay in this human nature so that they can understand that, yes, we are human. We can do this and that. But what is really important is how you can connect with these people. Not, because connection is very important.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I want to unpack a few things that you shared for people who may not be familiar with nonviolent communication.
Yes.
So number one, we'll just start with defining some of the terms. So we've talked about the four main steps with our observations, feelings, needs, and then requests. So that we've kind of explained already, but you've made references to giraffes and jackals and strategies, right? And this idea of Ubuntu also you mentioned that, so we'll connect all of this.
Yeah.
So one is giraffe. Can you tell us, since you're the lecturer here, so let's just give the audience a little taste of all these definitions. So can you tell us what is the giraffe in nonviolent communication? What is a jackal, and why do we use those terms?
Talking about the giraffe, I would say a giraffe is like a symbol of, like it's a symbolic or symbol animal of that is characterized on nonviolent communication.
Mhm.
And
Because
nonviolent communication itself, it has other names like
mm,
heart to heart or a giraffe language. Maybe I can
hmm
say that
hmm
perspective, a giraffe language. Why we call it a giraffe language? If I want to describe a giraffe, as we know, having a long neck, a giraffe is having a long neck so that it can see the underlying needs that is in the other people.
hmm It has a bigger perspective, really
Exactly.
more objective. Yes.
Yes, more objectives. But also, it's an animal that has a big heart.
hmm
And
hmm
having that big heart, it's when it's like it swallow
hmm
everything, all these harsh messages, violent messages,
mm
and how it respond to that message. Either it empathize with the other person,
hmm
or first empathize with itself.
mm
And
hmm
that's why it's a giraffe language in nonviolent
Yes.
communication. So talking about a jackal is an animal
Okay.
with also a heart,
hmm
but the heart of a jackal I can say it's small compared to the heart of a giraffe.
Yeah.
And for it, when it receives those messages, it cannot think twice. Either it
mm
bite back, either it beat itself. What, do-
mm
what do I mean about that? For the jackal, if someone say you are stupid, it will respond you are stupid too.
mm
Because we're
Defending
having
itself.
defending itself,
mm
criticizing you or criticizing himself. That
hmm
that is all about jackal and giraffe, I can say for the moment.
No, perfect. That's exactly, yeah. So
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that people understood the term. So yeah, now you all know giraffe and jackals are the words that we're going to be using throughout. You also
Yeah.
mentioned, that you gave an example of telling, so a student asking you, if my parent is killed by someone else, you know,
Mm.
does that person also have some good in them? Like that's, first of all, just even having a conversation like that with someone could be such a high stakes, right? There's in that moment that question is asked, there's a lot on the balance. There's very important, a lot of big impact that could be made in whatever
Yeah.
happens next. And so your reflection to them was that yes, this person would still have some good, but in the time that was done, they were trying to meet some need, but using a strategy, making a choice to do something to fulfill the
Exactly.
need. That's what strategies
Yeah.
are here. That was not in alignment with other people's needs, right? So it
Exactly.
became a conflict in that moment, and
Yeah.
that's one of the things that was a big aha moment for me in nonviolent
Mm.
communication, because everybody thinks that nonviolent communication is all about people always at war or fighting. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't, it's grown and
Mm.
expanded the meaning of this to any time that we take actions that are not in alignment with other people, that create some friction, that create some distrust, that create dislike, that create anger, anything in another group or another person, that is the violence, right? That can
Yes.
happen. So you're having this conversation in the nation that with generations of traumatic experiences.
Yes.
Can you share maybe a different or deep or more detailed example of when you're having that conversation and someone asks you a question like that and they hear your response, what happens after that? Like, what does that person then say, or what do they do when they hear you explain that strategy that was used, was a bad one? Was it didn't work, but they're a
It's
person still. What?
yeah, exactly, because they are very really shocked.
Yeah.
That is how they react first. And some of them even they run away because it's not
Really?
something. Now it's when it became a therapy. Become a therapy because it will not be like something
Yeah,
that you can do only
sure.
in one day. No.
Yeah.
So this experience is it was not even a student, just in the practice group, and someone asked this kind of question. That's why I shared it, and when I answer that, the person stood up and go, and they ran away.
Mm.
It was
Mm.
like, for me, I know when someone is evil. There's nothing good
Okay.
in that person.
Okay.
So how you tell if you could have something, meaning he couldn't like commit that crime or that kind of action.
Yeah.
And to make him understand that, it took me 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks,
2 weeks.
2 weeks, so that the person can be aware of, like, just know that human beings are not evil.
Yeah.
And no matter what we do, we still have the need.
Mm-hmm.
And that need want to be satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
So to understand that what we do, I want to come to this basic assumptions that everything we do it to meet a need.
Yeah.
Among the basic assumptions of nonviolent communication. And for him, he was like, no, that is what the person wanted to do. It's not like there is one need he wanted to satisfy at that moment. And I was like, what do you think? Try to put yourself into the shoes of that person.
Mm.
And at that moment when um, you find yourself like, this is the only choice I have.
Oh.
Maybe without thinking A, B, C, D, but
Mm.
that was the only choice you could have at that moment, like to kill this person because maybe this and this, I want to satisfy this kind of need. And we were like, which kind of need a human being can have to kill someone else?
Mm-hmm.
So that was another question.
That's a huge, well, I want to pause there because I think, what you're pointing to in these conversations is that you're helping them think more critically about like the big picture, right? That giraffe neck, like looking above the
Exactly.
experience and the knowledge that they have to like, okay, what culturally, generationally, historically, is one type of
Yes.
perspective. But I think what you're talking about is more the humanity, right,
Yeah.
in
At
the
human level.
person. And the
Mm-hmm.
humanity, for us to see humanity, we do need to go above, right?
Yes. True.
So I think, one thing that you're saying that's resonating for me is this idea of, you mentioned the word Ubuntu before, that I'm a person because you're a person, number one.
Yes.
And I think human needs, in my experience, I've not lived in a country or culture that has the type of, well, that's not true. US has had plenty of its own violent cultures, right? That's, so I don't mind to
Yes.
diminish that, but my personal experience has not been that.
Yes.
So I think what's resonating for me and what you're saying is that for this student to be able to be open to considering another perspective, in this case,
Mm.
that there's this evil act comes from a
Yeah.
person who's also trying to meet a need. And, sometimes I see in the news, or I see when I hear these stories, that the need for belonging is so strong, right? So if
Yeah.
you're in a group of people who has villainized and who has blamed and judged and built hatred for another group, in order for you
Mm-hmm.
to still feel belonging and
Yeah.
connection and support, you do what the group is doing.
Exactly.
Right. And in some cases, those are things that are horrific and painful and inhumane.
Yeah.
So, but let's this real talk here, Linda. This is you
Yeah.
as a role as a facilitator and a lecturer at a university where there's these types of conversations. But you in your
Yeah.
life, if you were to give an example of your your life, an example of how nonviolent communication has made a difference in either your perception or in your relationship with other people, what would you say to us?
I was about to judge myself.
No, no judging. Giraffe neck.
it's it's an example how I was judgmental before, as I said.
Yeah.
Before yeah, my life was I came, let me say my even experience when I came to Rwanda. I came with different stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
So many stereotypes about Rwandese. And even people like from where I came from, they could tell me, you're going to Rwanda, so they're bad people. They're sorry, I can say this. So they are
Sure.
bad people. They're not really um welcoming people. So please, if you find yourself there lonely, please come back. Come back
Wow.
to DRC. So something like that. Like I came to Rwanda with the head that was full of stereotype, full of
Mm.
prejudices.
Mm.
But when I reached the field, things were different.
Mm.
And at that time, it was 2014, and that I was not aware of nonviolent communication. So when I came across nonviolent communication, then I was like, mm-mm. Because even before I could see something and really I would judge.
Mm.
Yeah, because I'll be giving compliment to others, giving praises. And maybe in a way of I want maybe some interest to this person, so I want to do this. I'll give him
Uh-huh.
praises because I need
Uh-huh.
something from these people. So I did not know that.
That was the manipulation that you were talking
Yeah.
about.
I did not know that
Mm.
giving compliment, giving praises, giving rewards, it was that was judgmental. That was a jackal action, if I can say that. But when I came across to a nonviolent communication, everything changed.
Huh.
My perception changed immediately. And then is when I was really focusing on empathic listening.
Okay.
And like before, like for me, it was like observation. When you ask me, what are you observing? I would just say what I'm seeing.
Yes.
I never knew that what I hear, that was also observing. I
Mm.
never knew that what I will taste. If for me, if the food is not taste good, I will just tell you, you are a
Yeah.
bad cooker.
That's the
That will
truth.
explain.
That's the
Yeah.
observation. This is bad.
Like
It tastes
that is
bad.
what I observe. Like I will not start being specific. Like when I taste your food, I I could taste it's salty, something like that. I couldn't
Sure.
have that time,
Mm-hmm.
but time to time I learned
Yeah.
trying to use my five senses when I'm
Mm.
observing, and it really works. And you could see even the tensions are reduced. Human beings. Conflict is inevitable. Conflict can be there anytime.
Yeah.
But if I compare the Linda of 2014 and the Linda who is here now in front of you, so many things change. Through
Mm.
NVC, as I said, this is a language. And
Yeah.
there is something that I did not share when I was talking about jackal and giraffe.
Mhm.
Um, I've learned that the way some of us were raised, we were jackals because our parents could tell us, when someone did this to you, please defend yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Without knowing that, okay, when we are defending ourselves, so we are jackals.
Yeah.
Or when I do something, let's say I didn't pass an exam, I will start blaming myself.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't study well.
Yeah.
I was so distracted. I'm stupid. I'm dumb. So like you
The
say so many
self-judgment.
things.
Yeah.
Those judgment. That is how I can say some of us were raised.
Mm.
But when I came across to this giraffe, then I was like, how can I change this perspective? How I was raised, how I grew up
Mm.
as a jackal,
Yeah.
and then to become this giraffe,
Mm.
a person who can connect with the other person, to
Yeah.
know exactly, guess what is alive in the other person.
Yeah.
Or even though I don't pass an exam, how can I connect with myself? What
Mm.
are my needs at this time? What are my feelings?
Mm-hmm.
And what am I going to request myself?
Mm.
What is the change I need to see next time? if it's really necessary at the moment. So that is how these have impacted my life. That is how I changed from a judgmental person to what I am
Yeah.
today.
Oh,
And
brilliant.
this is what also I'm offering even today.
Yeah.
I want this have transformed my life. I want also others to be transformed.
To be transformed.
Yes, but
Yes.
it's I know how it's not easy, as I said at first, how I took it as a manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's like that. When I express myself in a nonviolent way with someone who is not aware of nonviolent communication,
Mm-hmm.
that is what is happening. Like even in my house, like
Yeah.
when I call mom, when should we do something, and I say, let's say when I want to give gratitude,
Mhm. Yeah.
she would just say, Linda, sorry, this is not the end of the month. I was like, Mom.
She's like, you're trying to get something from me.
Yeah. I'm like,
I,
no, I'm just expressing. I want to tell you, by you doing this, what are my
yeah.
needs that are met and how I feel about this. But for her to be like, I
Stop,
just
stop,
stop.
stop. Well, I
I'll be
mean,
like,
like you said, if we have been raised in a with the habit of listening and speaking like a jackal, it's very difficult to hear sometimes someone expressing themselves like a giraffe and think it's is authentic, right? It's like,
yes,
very suspicious. Like, what do you
yeah.
want? What are you trying to do? Right? That can
Mhm.
be uncomfortable. I wanted to share as you were talking, I had this um I had an example shortly after we came back from our workshop, because
Yeah.
although I studied it 10 years ago and had been using it somewhat, every once in a while in the work that I do as a coach, I knew that I needed to be a better practitioner, a more dedicated practitioner, especially with some
Yes.
of the things that are happening in our world today that just require a different level of listening. Um,
Mhm.
so I started to practice with my own family.
Ah,
So I went to the market. I went to the market with my boyfriend. I usually go on my own, and this particular market I love is his name is called Costco here in the US. And I love going. It brings me so much joy to see all the different products, and it's just, they give you samples sometimes. It's just, for me, it's a really a place where I go to be is I go at a leisurely pace. I'm walking, I'm not there to be in a rush. I really like to connect with all the new things and just soak it all in. And so when my boyfriend offered to come with me, for me was like, it's an opportunity for connection for the two of us to spend
yeah.
some leisure quality time, right? Walking around. Um, but when he goes shopping, his need is focus. His need is to be efficient, right? To
Yeah.
get what he's there for. And so from and I had not articulated to him that my expectation and need was the connection and to enjoy the company and all that.
Yeah.
So it started off, we get there, I park the car, and he's already out of the car and walking halfway down the parking lot before I get on my purse and my things. And so I
Yeah.
get annoyed. Right away I'm annoyed. I'm like, oh, we're supposed to connect. He's supposed to wait for me, right? In my head, jackal, jackal, jackal.
Yeah.
So then I start to test him, because then I'm like, okay, I'm not in a rush. So I'm going to walk extra
Mhm.
slow. So I walk extra slow. He goes into the main entrance and waits for me with a buggy right inside the door. And
Yeah.
so by that point, I'm still like very, annoyed and irritated.
Mhm.
So I walk in, I stand next to him. I'm like, I'm here. So we start walking together side by side, and someone comes up behind me with their cart and accidentally hits me in the back of the leg, of my
Yeah.
ankle, which is very painful with these buggies, right? And so I
Yeah.
turned around and I was like, hey. And this young lady, she said, are you okay? And I said, no, I'm a little hurt. And she said, sorry. And then she goes away. And in that
Yeah.
moment, tears came into my eyes, because I just realized that I'm not only hurt because of this injury, this small injury, but also hurt emotionally because my expectation, my needs in going to shop were not being met at the time. But I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
want to cry at Costco. I don't want to cry in the store. This is not something worth crying about. And I think if I had, which I would not, but if I had, I think I would have gotten some compassion and some empathy from my boyfriend because he would respond to that. But I
Yeah.
also knew that that's not what I needed. It's like I needed connection. And I don't know if I knew that consciously, but I knew that I didn't want him to know that I was that upset.
Mm.
And so
Yes.
I actually started walking behind him and just asking myself, okay, what do I need? What do I need? What do I need? What do I need? Um, and as I was walking around the store, and I just decided my strategy was, it's so ironic to where I needed connection, I actually
Yeah.
needed space. I needed space
Yeah.
to kind of take care of myself. And so he would go to one side of the aisle, I'd go to the opposite side, I'd get something, we'd both come back, put it in the cart, I'd go off again. And we shopped that way the whole time, like 20, 30
Yes.
minutes we were there. And by the time like that time had passed, I started to remember why I enjoyed coming. And I was like, yeah, I really, oh my gosh, look at this new product. Oh, they moved the aisle, they changed so I started to reconnect with the space and my
Yes.
experience of it. I started to calm all these things down and my all these emotions started to lessen, the intensity of my emotions lessen. By the time we got to the checkout line, I
Mm.
remember I went and stood next to him and I looked at him and I said, I noticed you're not talking to me, but I am not talking to you. So you can't not talk to me and me not talk to you. We can't do it together. Either I talk or you talk, one of us. And so he starts to laugh and I start to laugh. And it's just like everything just, we were back back on the same page. And then later on we had some conversation. I said, what I really needed in that moment was empathy and connection.
Yeah.
And I see that you had a different need. But I share this, Linda, one, because I think what you were saying earlier about the jackal sometimes criticizing and judging ourselves, sometimes
Yes.
our needs are not meant to be met by other people.
Yeah.
The need that we have are needs that we need to fulfill. And we
Absolutely.
then select strategies that would address that need for us. The
Yes.
temptation to manipulate another, right,
Yeah.
is when we
Mm-hmm.
put our need is now someone else's responsibility to meet. Right.
Yes.
And so then we try to do things so that we get that need met. Okay, if I do this, or if I say this, or if I tell them, then that will prompt that person to meet my need. And I think that's one thing I'm learning. That's a big shift for me is that no, actually, I am responsible for meeting my own need, but
Yes.
doing so in a way that's compassionate and kind to myself was the piece, right? That I didn't have to just like, oh, well, I'm tough and I don't need to, and just, it wasn't that. It was simply just allowing myself to recognize the emotion and then just connecting with myself, connecting with the space that I enjoy being in. And it just like, it took some time, but it went away. I'd love to hear what do you think about that experience I just shared? What stands out to you
Um,
or what's different?
there is something that was going on in my mind, and I was
Yeah.
like, and this is what some people think, like I feel hurt, I feel sad because of the action of someone or what someone said, someone did to me,
Mm,
and not really recognize that we are responsible for our own feelings. And our feelings are never caused by what someone did or what someone said about something, but it's because of some of my needs that were not met,
mm-hmm,
or some of how can I say it? Yeah, just underlining needs
mm-hmm.
that are there at that moment. And I really resonate with the experience because there you were, as we said, beyond right or wrong, we can still connect.
Yeah.
But we just remember that we are the one to bear all the consequences, depending on the choice that we make.
So true.
Without depending on the choice that what I
Yep.
choose at that moment. So if
Yep.
you choose to remain silent and not talking to your boyfriend, that was your choice. And
Mm-hmm.
if you could let you there and he go, so you could bear the consequences. But it's not like because he let you, like you were parking and he was outside of the car and you were
Mm-hmm.
feeling annoyed at that moment and you decide to walk slowly so that So if you
Petty.
wanted
I
to,
know it was petty.
yeah, like that, but it's not like you felt annoyed because he let you in the car, but it's because there is the need of your need of
My
connection
need
was not
connection
met.
wasn't it?
Was not
Exactly.
met at that
Yeah.
moment. Maybe
Yeah.
yes, and maybe what I always say that the action of someone can yes stimulate that, can yes trigger your
Mm-hmm.
feelings, but never be the reason why you
Mm-hmm.
feel annoyed, never the reason why you feel hurt, or the person who the lady who kicked you,
Mm-hmm.
when she said sorry on and how you react to
Mm-hmm.
that, she I felt like the person wanted to how can I say, at least to show some care.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but but for you at that moment, how that land on you, it was really hard, and you couldn't really you couldn't at that moment, you couldn't connect.
Mm-mm. Not with
You
her,
couldn't
no.
connect at that moment. If,
And
yeah,
plus
yeah,
it was stacked already because I already had other emotions that were built.
exactly.
And
Yeah, yeah,
so,
yeah.
yeah, so I think, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was mixture of feelings at the
Yeah.
same moment, but also so many needs that are not
Mm-hmm.
met, and you are fighting with them inside of you, and you
Mm-hmm.
don't know how you can, like, how you can come across to it.
No.
But
Oh,
yeah,
that's
anyway,
brilliant.
yeah, yeah, that is something that people, how can I say, it's something that people fight with every
Yeah.
day, and someone to understand that I'm not the reason, I'm not the cause of what you are feeling,
Mm-hmm.
but I can trigger that. And some
Yeah.
people think that when once you trigger it, meaning that you are the cause of that, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not true. I
Yeah.
can still, my boyfriend can still ignoring me,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm conscious enough to sometimes also unconsciously I can act.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can be a jackal unconsciously, but
Yeah.
when you are aware of that, knowing that, okay, even though he's ignoring me, okay, I'm still at ease. Let me
Yeah.
just feel at ease. Let me feel relaxed. And
Yeah.
I trust the process. Let me just go with the move.
Mm.
Nothing will happen. And you will see that connection will be there. But
Yeah.
if I just say, okay, so once he gone, let me distance myself to him.
Mm-hmm.
And now you
We're
became
done.
angry. And you can say, so when you choose to be angry, start also ignoring the person,
Mm-hmm.
it's when the confrontation come and you not solve anything.
Yeah.
But once you choose maybe and say that, okay, um, and start maybe empathize with that person, like, okay, maybe he's also going into a lot and there are some need also in
Yeah.
connection. Maybe he went outside of the car, maybe he need air at that moment,
Mm-hmm.
but you couldn't be aware of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that is what is happening in our life most of the time.
To we are not always communicating very clearly, right? I think what I've learned is that many of us are not aware, we're not conscious of the emotions and needs. I think to your point,
Exactly.
if 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 I'd been maybe in a different mood, maybe I had a need for playfulness or a need for fun or laughter, maybe
Yeah.
when the woman accidentally ran into my foot, I would have
Mm-hmm.
said something that was funny or a joke, or I would have smiled or just like, hey, one at a time, or something like that, right? I could have been. So she didn't cause the emotion, but I'd
Yes.
already had some other things, like you said, and some unmet needs. And I
Yes.
think what I've learned the most, or I've had to practice the most in this process, is acknowledging my feelings and my needs more specifically. In fact, I remember working with a group of leaders, and they were all very focused on the task, and everybody was coming into the we had a virtual meeting. One
Yeah.
person was running late. Another person was trying to eat their lunch while we were meeting. Another person was still typing up an email and said, "I'll be right with you." Right. So everybody was so different, and I remember at the time I was like, "Oh, maybe we need to do a little grounding or centering, like for everybody just to be present." And I asked,
Yeah.
"Hey, would you guys like to take a moment to just get some grounding or centering?" And they were like, "No, no, no, let's go ahead and get started. Let's not waste any more time." Right. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so we'd started and the meeting was fine. But I did
Yeah.
feel like it was a little bit on the superficial, right? We got through
Mm-hmm.
the things, but I was like, what was that? And I didn't feel quite comfortable. So the next time we met, by the next time we met, I realized that it was my need for grounding and centering. I
Yes.
offered them a strategy and they were like,
Mm-hmm.
no, thanks, because it wasn't their need. They didn't have a need for grounding and centering. That was mine. So what I ended
Yes.
up doing is I asked them, hey, look at this list of feelings, look at this list of needs, and pick out the top 2 or 3 that you're experiencing right now, similar to our
Mm-hmm.
nonviolent communication practice. And
Yes.
it changed the whole conversation, Linda. People were much
Mm-hmm.
more present. One woman had just been getting over bronchitis, she said. And so now she was able to focus and, oh my gosh, I need rest because I've been overworking myself. Another
Yes.
person hadn't been outside of her home because she was in meetings back to back. And that's why she was eating lunch. And she said, no, you
Yes.
know what? Right after this call, I'm going to cancel my next meeting and I'm going to go out and take care, do some self-care. Right. So there was all these moments where people were able, one, to meet their own needs once they were aware of them. So there's a level
Yes.
of awareness that's so important. Why do you think we're so unaware of our feelings and needs? Like, we're all grown-ups, we've had lives. In some cases in your world, people are academics, right? They're studying, these are intellectual people in many cases. What do you think makes it so challenging for us to be aware of feelings and needs?
Mm, I think we are, how can I say? We are, how can I, how, in which way? We are not aware of our needs because we're not taught in that manner. Like, as I said before, like everything we do it to meet the needs.
Mm-hmm.
Or what we are doing in life is to contribute to the well-being of someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a very important need as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
But some of us, we grew up, we don't even know what is the need. So we just do things as pleased us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do things as it pleased us. And you could see most of the time, like me personally before, when someone could ask me, Linda, what do you need? I was speechless because
Right.
I don't know what is the need first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even up to now, I know if someone is asking me, how can I say, um, difficult question, that is
Mm-hmm.
one of them. When someone is, what do you
What do
need?
you need?
So
Really?
I used to escape that question because I
Huh.
don't know. I don't know really what need
Yeah.
are, because when you ask someone who is not aware of about NVC,
Yeah.
what do you need?
Mm-hmm.
The person will start narrate a story, right? You will not be specific about that. I
I need
need this.
money. I need
Yeah.
food.
I
I
need
need them
money, I
to
need
clean up
food.
the room.
Yeah, I want to go to the hospital, I want to go to school, something like that. That is how what we know.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
what we know.
Yeah.
But once we came across to it and when we learn and be aware that the need the need is universal. Everyone has a need.
Yeah.
And it's something that we can't live without it. Yes,
Yeah.
we learn from Abraham Maslow needs
Yeah.
at
The
school.
hierarchy of needs. Yeah.
Yes, about the basics need, shelter,
Yeah.
water, and
Safety.
nourishment, safety.
Yeah.
We know those are needs, but I think we just know them as need, but we really don't know
Mm.
what is need, what is the need. And once we came across to it, and let me also talk in this context of the conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And like so many people, they don't know that the origins of conflict and violence came from the unmet need,
Yeah.
a need that is not met. Because once I need food, okay, nourishment,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
need itself, it's something that you can touch.
Mm-hmm.
Nourishment, and when I say nourishment is food and water, so I need food. Let me say it in this perspective. and I don't have food in my house, right? Immediately, that is one need that is not satisfied.
Mm.
And from that, if it's not satisfied, that will create a problem.
Mm.
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
That's my need of anger. Okay, now I'm start feeling hungry, and
Mm-hmm.
from there maybe start how can I say, complaining, and that
Mm-hmm.
became a problem already.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no food in this house. What will I do? Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And if that problem is not resolved, that will go to the conflict. And when the conflict is unresolved, that is clashes. That is
Yeah.
violence that will come
That's the
from there.
balance stars. Mm-hmm.
So need is, I don't know if I can say it, it's really important to, as human beings, to be specific enough to
Yeah.
know which need of mine that are met
Yes.
and which need of mine that are not met. Sometimes we are joyful, we are celebrating, we are without even knowing what need of mine that was met at this moment, so that I can have these pleasant or positive feelings.
That those all are born from some met need, a met need. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah, this is, it's interesting because I've had a conversation I've had recently with a few people is related to some of the conflict that we're seeing now in the media and
Yes.
that's reported by the media, but it's happening around the world. And it is happening in a micro, like conflict in homes where people are not, getting their needs met and therefore they're, jackaling out together, but also
Yeah.
globally, right? And what Marshall Rosenberg, the author of Nonviolent Communication, did a lot of his work starting out with conflict in the Middle East, right?
Yes.
And as you hear, you mentioned earlier that some of the media that people are consuming makes the conflict even stronger, or grows the
Yes.
conflict. So as you're hearing all the things that are happening both in Rwanda and other parts of Africa, or even around the world, the conflicts that you're hearing, what are you noticing are some of the needs that are not met currently? Like if you were to name just needs based on what your observations are, what would you think? Or maybe
Um,
conversations that you've had with others.
I would say safety,
Mm-hmm.
security,
Mm-hmm.
justice,
Yeah.
peace, um, employment. there are a lot
Mm-hmm.
of there are really a lot of needs. Understanding,
Yeah.
need for information, need for
Mm-hmm.
communication. Because on how on social media, everyone. So when we have this freedom of speech, so we can speak
Mm-hmm.
anyhow, and we
Yeah.
really don't. People don't really get um, the true. How can I say? Because false information are are very common on social media. And what we want to know, what we want to really believe, this is what is happening. It's like there is lack of information, lack of communication, and that
Yeah.
is also a need that is there.
Mm-hmm.
I can also need for clarity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This and that is happening, but why? The
Yes.
population
The
is not
context.
aware. Let's say
Yeah.
M23. M23 that is in my country now.
Mm-hmm.
People like on their status, they're saying this is how can I say? Like we don't have clarity about this.
Say
We
that
don't
again.
understand.
What is missing in your country?
I
Clarity.
mean, the clarity. People they have need of clarity to know
Yeah, I
really
think
what is happening.
okay. But you said a
Yeah.
term. I want to make sure I understood it. Empathy? Did you say empathy is
No,
missing?
no, no,
No.
no. I
So
didn't
people
say
need
that.
clarity about what?
About let's say
I'm needing clarity right now.
no, like clarity for what is going on, why the
Okay.
conflict is happening,
Okay.
what are the sources,
I
the
got you.
dynamics of this
The
conflict in
dynamic.
the country.
Okay.
Because today you hear it this, tomorrow you hear it's that. So we
Mm,
don't have we don't have this one information where
Yes.
everyone will know that this is the cause of what is happening.
Mm,
These are the dynamics we can see in
right.
the country. So everyone is here and there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yes. So clarity also is needed.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So many needs are
There are
there.
a lot of needs. There are a lot of needs. And I think to your original point is the idea is that the emotions that are accompanying those needs, like, justice is a big one right now. There's a lot of people,
Yes.
the some of the world conflicts that are happening, and the conflicts in the lack of employment, and there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
layoffs. There's a lot of changes that, some people might be feeling anger or sadness or frustration or fear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because their need for stability has been threatened,
Exactly.
or their need
Yeah.
for safety, like you said, or their need for to provide, right, for others in their family and their
Yes.
community, or justice in some cases because they don't see that this is being done fairly. Um,
Exactly.
and I think, one thing that I have to remind myself is sometimes just being able to acknowledge that people's feelings and needs is
Mm-hmm.
sufficient.
Yes.
I don't have to rescue, I don't have to fix it. There's a lot of things that I don't have the power or knowledge or ability to
Mm-hmm.
do, but I know what I can contribute to people is compassion. I can
Yeah.
contribute, my need for contribution is met, my need for
Yeah.
support, right? My need for empathy, all of those things I think could be met by my extending to that person. Um,
Exactly.
yeah. Um, so you told me when we first started today that you were not feeling great, right? You have the flu. You just last night you said you just woke up feeling sick. I gave you the option to just like, well, we can reschedule, but you were like, no, I want to be here. I want to do this. I feel energized. So I'm curious, what needs are being met for you by having this conversation with me on this podcast?
Ah, I'll just share one need.
Sure.
Okay, I have so many needs, but one is contribution. My need for
Contribution.
contribution is met. I
Mm,
know what I shared, maybe someone also will benefit from
yes.
it.
Yeah.
But also my need for learning. I learned a
Mm.
lot from
Really?
this discussion. Yes, I learned from this
Oh,
discussion.
cool.
Yes, and knowing also how nonviolent communication have impacted your life,
Mm-hmm.
and as you are a coach, I know sometimes you might feel also overwhelming,
Mm,
and to not also forget that um, even though you welcome, how can I say it, when you're practicing empathic listening, so it's like guessing what is alive in the other person
mm-hmm.
and guessing the needs and their feelings. It's like when you are hearing that, yes, you swallow as a giraffe,
Mm-hmm.
but also to not forget that you're a human being. Sometimes you can
Yeah.
also be overwhelmed and you
Yeah,
need
yeah.
self-care too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you go and connect with yourself
Yeah.
and then come back to the to continue what is going
Then we
on.
can
That,
continue. Absolutely. Yeah.
yes, that's
Yes.
something that also I've learned from this. It
Mm.
really, really it's like I did not come here for nothing. So I'm really learning.
You got your needs met. Right. No,
Yeah.
same, same. I
And
know
and
when you and I first met, I think, first of all, mine I think initially was just my need for acknowledgement and appreciation for
yes,
how we connected. That was number
yes,
one. Um, and the need to empower is important, is empowering. Creating a space and an opportunity for others is important to me.
yes.
And when
Mm-hmm.
you shared the work that you do, I thought, oh, what a wonderful thing for us to have a conversation about and put out, like, to provide a platform to share that. I will say that I didn't think that we would focus on nonviolent communication as deeply as we did. Um, but I found
Yeah.
myself, I also have a need to be responsible and a need to
Yes.
be just connected. And I just kept following the connection versus
Yes.
the strategy that I had, which was like, well, let's talk about how you build a team to build peace. And then I had all these other things that I thought we would talk about, but I honored where the conversation was leading me and where what was alive in us throughout the exchange.
Yeah.
So I'm actually quite pleased that I maintain the presence and
Yeah.
connection throughout the conversation where I could have, moved it into moved us to a different path.
Exactly. But
That's
also,
cool.
that energy and connection is something like someone can transfer to someone else.
Yeah.
How? Because really, I didn't know that I could make it. I
Mm-hmm.
was just optimistic that no, we not reschedule this, I will make it. But really, I was weak. But
Yeah,
I really want
you're
to be
willing.
here,
Sure.
and with your energy, I it's like you transfer it to me, and yeah,
Mm,
I'm feeling
yes.
alive, and I'm really celebrating that.
I'm celebrating too. Thank you so much. And I hope it went one way. I don't want your flus. We'll just
No,
keep that on that
no
side of
way,
the
no.
screen. Um,
I will not
um,
transfer that.
but I think, you mentioned earlier the idea of compliments, and that could also be judgments, right? That just praise and compliments is not really,
Yes,
is not, uh, is a way of evaluating something. So I thought maybe we close by sharing a little bit about why that is, and then I'd love to acknowledge some things about my experience with you, if you don't
yes.
mind. So could you first, just for the audience that may not understand why compliments and praise are judgments and evaluations, can you just say a little about that?
So yes, I just want to share that it's I call them jackal expression
Mm,
because yeah, it's full of judgment. Because let me go with an example. I could say, Valerie, you look beautiful with your dreadlocks, if I can say
mm-hmm,
that.
mm-hmm,
The dreadlocks, right? And that is a compliment I'm giving you.
sure.
Your dreadlocks looks beautiful.
Mm-hmm,
And sometimes we forget that what might be beautiful to me,
mm-hmm,
the other person can perceive it in another way,
sure, sure.
right? And immediately that became a judgment
Mm,
because our way of observing, we need to be specific.
okay.
Is it the color? Is it the way, or how can I say it? Oh, I can say instead of saying Valerie, you're beautiful.
Mm-hmm,
That is immediately judgment. I can say because it's
yeah.
compliment.
Uh-huh.
You look beautiful.
Yeah.
But to be specific, I can say sorry. That's what I was confused. I could say Valerie, your dreadlocks looks good
Mm,
on you.
mm,
Uh, your your glasses.
mm-hmm,
Um, I like the shape of your maybe your face
frame.
with
Mm,
the frame of
mm-hmm.
the frame of your glasses because I need to
Thank
be
you.
specific. The frame of your glasses um looks good on you because sometimes when we are like you are too generous, you are too beautiful, you
Mm,
are how can I say, you are you are always late, you are something like that. Yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes we tend to say that, but those are evaluations. How
Mm,
many times maybe per week I was late?
yeah.
When was the meeting? The
At
meeting
what
was supposed
time?
to start,
Mm-hmm,
yes. If let's say that the class was supposed to start at 8:30 and I
mm-hmm.
came at 9, you say, just Linda, you came 30
30
minutes
minutes late. Yeah.
after the time. That is something that you observed.
Mm-hmm,
Or you can just say, so Linda, I saw you giving money or helping these homeless people 2 times in this
mm-hmm.
month, in this month, instead of saying that you are too
You're
generous.
so generous. Yeah.
Because there are some people are very sensitive to that because especially people who are aware of nonviolent communication,
Hmm.
or also people who are not who are not aware about nonviolent communication, they are very sensitive to those kind of things.
Yeah.
Like why? It's just something that I always do, and I don't know that is being generous, but we
Mm.
just need to be specific.
About the, it's so funny. You just reminded me, and this has come up. So my boyfriend and I, we live together, and I often do the cooking. And
Yes.
I like to experiment. So sometimes the things that I cook are really delicious, and other times they're
Mm-hmm.
okay, right? Um,
Yes.
but I noticed, I have a need for my need for acknowledgement and appreciation and a need for contribution. All of those things are
Mm-hmm.
part of why I cook. This
Yes.
also fulfills a need for creativity. I get the experimentation, all of that. And there was a time when I was like, when my boyfriend says, this was so good, this was delicious, and I'm just in my head, I'm like, well, that one I bought at Costco was already seasoned and I just put it in the oven. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
okay. I don't receive the acknowledgement because I know
Yes.
that in my mind it wasn't something that actually my
Mm-hmm.
creativity and all of that was not part of that dish.
Yes.
And so I've actually started to tell him how my needs are met through doing the things that, like, oh, I made this dish and my need for creativity because I use this spice instead of this spice, and because
Yeah.
I cooked it this way instead of this way. So I start to explain more the needs that I fulfilled by doing something a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still trying to encourage him to share the needs that are fulfilled by him eating it versus
Yeah.
the judgment of he liked it or didn't like it. Because sometimes I noticed that I would get annoyed if he liked something or didn't like something based on what I did to it, right? So I
Yes.
think what you're saying is so interesting, and it's such a subtle element of communication to notice. But
Exactly.
so I appreciate you bringing it up because I did want to at least close our conversation by sharing, with you, and you can share if you choose to. But I wanted to share one is that, my need for connection is met through your being here. Um, the the fact that you're not feeling well but said yes anyways, it's almost like, oh wow, that my need for some adventure also, because I'm like, what's gonna happen, and
Yes.
spontaneity. I appreciate spontaneity too, because I'm thinking, are we gonna have to pause? Is she gonna be okay? Is she so they're not in a way that I wasn't worried about it, but I was just kind of curious.
Yes.
So I kind of I appreciate a little bit of that stimulation, to do this conversation that way. And then the content that you shared, like I said, I was following the connection and just being present.
Yes.
My need for learning and growth also, because and in education, because I know this platform will expose people to nonviolent communication that may have never thought or heard about it, at least
Yeah.
not from this perspective. And then also the fact that, you're in a part of the world that I have not visited yet. I went to Kenya, that's where we met, but
Yes.
you live in Rwanda, and I've never been there, but I have heard some things that you've shared that also bring some life, right? So my ability to see other parts of the world, right? So you're also connecting me beyond just you and I connecting, you're connecting me to culture,
Exactly.
and some understanding of the culture.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're
And I
welcome.
remember how at the beginning nervous I was. And
Mm.
I was like, oh, I just trust the process. Let me see what will. I was really eager to see what will happen. And also, I think I also had fun
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, it will not be like in an interview or it's like an exam. So, or exam, I'm just answering questions.
Yeah.
But it's I like the connection and how fun it was. I'm sharing. You share also your experiences. Yeah,
Yes.
really great.
Good. And do you remember when we were in Kenya, one of the questions I asked you after you and I talked about the TEDx talk?
Yes.
If what what did I ask you?
You asked me if I'm comfortable. You remember?
That,
If
yeah, but I was saying if you would be one day doing your own TEDx talk, right?
Yes,
Remember
and
we
I was
talked.
yeah, we talked about that, and I will be happy if that happen one day.
Yeah.
I will really be happy. Yes.
So I will establish, I will consider that this conversation is been the beginnings of
Yeah.
an opportunity for you to share your message far and wide with other people. And I
Uh,
really hope that, yeah, your students have obviously the greatest benefit right now because of your
yes.
knowledge and experience. And I think
Yeah.
as other people listen to what we've talked about today, you
Yeah.
will be impacting other people, right? Your contribution
Exactly.
will impact people's listening, how they
Yeah.
speak, their level of awareness and understanding. And so I'm so grateful for that.
I'm also grateful. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Oh, thank you so much, Linda, for joining us.
Thank
All right,
you.
everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us today. And anywhere you are in the world, make it a great day. Thanks for joining me on this episode of The Circle of Hope. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, and share with someone in your circle. And if you're curious about the upcoming book, visit valeriehope.com for updates and extras. Until then, stay connected.